right, so we are here with Leslyn Lewis, who just wrapped up the debate. Leslyn, what did you think of that? That was very lively. You had quite a showing. You were very powerful in the way you spoke and almost attacked other candidates. What was your strategy for tonight?
Well, I wouldn't use the word attack. I'm very passionate about certain issues, and I want to know where the candidates stand because my down ballot votes, people want to know where the candidates stand. So I was very assertive about ascertaining certain things, like what their policies are.
Yeah, that's fair enough. At one point, we were discussing conspiracy theories, and you said that a lot of conspiracy theories had come true. What ones were you referring to over the past couple of years, I assume?
Well, over the past few years, people had thoughts about whether or not we would have a facility to house people if they came in from the airport, and where there would be a quarantine facilities. All of those things came true. And so we have to start investigating when people have concerns, when there are documents, real documents that highlight that certain things are going to take place. The media still will call it a conspiracy theory. Even the WHO World Pandemic Treaty, that is going to be signed in August. And I had somebody from the media saying, well, that's a conspiracy, a global conspiracy. It is not. It is a real document that is going to be signed. 192 countries met on it. And Canadians need to wake up and not be afraid of challenging their governments. Our government is using the word conspiracy theory in order to suppress debate.
Mm-hmm. Would you consider yourself to be a conspiracy theorist? Would you use that label for yourself?
Well, I have a PhD, so I research, I look at data, I'm an intellectual, and so somebody who's invested over a decade in higher education, that doesn't fit in with their personality.
Yeah. For sure. And vaccine passports, I recall, was one of those conspiracy theories that did end up coming true. Now, you have chosen not to disclose your vaccine status, but you were able to interact and go into Parliament and do all these things. My question is, how were you able to do that if you wouldn't, show your passport?
That's a good question. I don't have a problem disclosing my vaccination status to a medical doctor, to a medical practitioner. My problem is random people on the street asking me about my private medical situation. That I will not disclose because I don't believe it's anybody's business about my personal private medical situation, whether I'm vaccinated or not. But I will disclose to a competent health practitioner.
Mm-hmm. For sure. You've spoken quite a lot about the World Health Organization and the World Economic Forum. Could you tell me a little bit about your concerns for these organizations and what you think that they're trying to do with Canada when they're penetrating the cabinets of the cabinet of the country and kind of altering its course, so to speak?
Well, for example, there's a program called Known Traveler Digital ID. It is a pilot program that has been entered into by Justin Trudeau's, our government of the Netherlands, Pierre Elliott Trudeau Airport, Toronto Pearson Airport, and Air Canada. And that is to create a digital identity. Canada is a country that is signed on to this agreement to create digital travel IDs for Canadians. Nobody's talking about that. And even though the document is online, it's clear our country has entered into that, it will be dismissed as a conspiracy theory until it goes through. And it is going through. And that's why we probably have the no travel mandates right now, because we've entered into that program with the World Economic Forum. The World Economic Forum is the sponsor of that known traveler digital ID. And I know that my colleagues have supported digital ID and digital currency, but I don't support that.
For sure. Tonight you pointed out that Pierre had not, as he said, immediately and at the beginning of the pandemic, come out against lockdowns and these public health measures. Do you sort of regret, or do you wish that you had been more forceful in the beginning of the pandemic to speak out, or do you think that you you did speak out and you were saying enough in order to stop these things?
I spoke out so much, I didn't get a shadow cabinet position. So I was very, very vocal about speaking out about these things. I was very vocal about medical privacy. I was vocal right at the beginning, and I don't regret standing up for what I believe is right and standing up for Canadians.
For sure. Switching to the Ukraine and Russia crisis, when we spoke on the phone last, you said that you were going to give more consideration to what was happening, the developing situation, and come out with a more concrete plan about what you think Canada should do in response. Have you given that any more thought, and do you have more ideas of how we should respond that we're not doing right now?
Well, it's very concerning that we haven't developed our natural resources, that we cannot offset that 40% dependency that Europe has on Russian oil. It's very concerning that we share our Arctic border with Russia and that we don't have the capacity to defend it. Russia has 40 submarines with torpedoes on it. We have 0. And so we have not invested in our military. And it's very disconcerting that we cannot do more for the Ukraine. I think that we should be able to supply more supplies, whether they are humanitarian aid or whether they're military aid. But we cannot do that because we are in a vulnerable military position because we have been underfunded by the Justin Trudeau government.
Absolutely. And last question, really quick here. Are there issues that you would like to see discussed in the next debate that we didn't get a lot of airtime this time around?
Oh, there are so many issues that we have to discuss. Our economy, our global interaction with global organizations like the WHO, like the WEF, who are imposing on our sovereignty. Those are real issues that we cannot discuss as conspiracies anymore because there's documentation to show that these things are happening.
For sure. Well, Leslyn, thank you very much for taking the time to speak with us. Always a pleasure.
Always a pleasure.
Thank you.